Please turn your cell phones to silent mode and remain quiet while listening to the talks.
让我们欢迎今天的第一位演讲者苏千亿，他是济南新航实验外国语学校的优秀学生，同时也是文明语言项目的倡导者。他的演讲题目是“网络心理的标签，促进理解的工具，还是限制发展的陷阱”。
Please give a warm round of applause for our first speaker today, Qianyi Su. She is an excellent student from Jinan Xinhang Experimental Foreign Language School and an advocate for the Civilized Language Project. The title of her talk is Online Technology Labels, a tool for understanding or tactful imitation. Let's welcome her.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me ask you a question. Are you an I person or an E person? Okay. What do you think I am? If you spend any time on social psychology, you've been probably come across this question. It's a part of the personality MBTI trends that's taken over the internet. I stand for introvert. Someone who gets energy from being alone, while I stand for the extroverted. Those people who thrive in social situations. Although it's fun to talk about, there is a deeper issue here. The internet has made psychology more accessible than ever, but it also turned us into amateur psychologists. We're quick to label ourselves based on online quizzes, videos, and viral posts. But what happens if we take these labels too seriously? What happens if we believe that a simple test or a list of symptoms can define who we are? Martin Seligman, the former president of the American Psychology Association, once said that psychology is not a fully developed discipline. This academic system requires more and more labels. And looking into the history, the psychology has put big effort on studying the mental illnesses and the negative sides of life, but pay less attention to the positive sides of life. This lack of balance has caused there to be too many negative labels. Words like NPD, avoidant attachment, or highly sensitive person are examples. Once people are labeled, they tend to act more likely to those labels, which is called the labeling effect. This means that the labels we assign to ourselves or others can affect what we do and our subsequent behavior. For instance, in a school setting, if a child is labeled as slow learning, teachers may give them less attention, and the child will pay less effort. They may stop attempting challenging tasks, therefore their academic performance will indeed decline. In a social context, if a person is tagged as shy, they may avoid social events, even not trying to engage with new people. In a workplace, if an employee is branded as untrustworthy, they may start to miss deadlines more often. Since others expect them to be untrustworthy, there is no point in trying hard. Psychology labels are everywhere on the internet, and this unfortunately become a social bullying. Some people use this label to feel superior to others, paying less attention whether it's rigorous or scientific. But let me share my own opinion. It's a story about last year. I was struggling with my economy class. I haven't learned this subject before, and I found it hard to focus. My mind would often wander, and I felt frequently lost during class. My teacher then suggested that I might have ADHD. She recommended that I look into it. I didn't turn to a doctor, but I did what many of us do. I turned to the internet. I searched for symptoms, and to my surprise, many of them matches how I felt. So I convinced that I have ADHD. From that day on, whenever I zoned off class or didn't complete my homework, I told myself that's because I have ADHD. I can't help it. I use this self-imposed label as an excuse instead of taking responsibility of my actions. But the thing is, ADHD isn't something that you can diagnose by Googling symptoms. It requires an evaluation, often take a long period of time. By labeling myself, I wasn't helping myself, I was limiting myself. I was unconsciously shaping my behavior to fit the label that I given myself. Instead of working harder or seeking help, I use this label as a crutch. And this isn't just about me. A friend of mine once read an article about avoidant attachment and decided it described her perfectly. She then started to believe that she was incapable of forming close relationships with others. Every time she felt uncomfortable opening up to someone, she blamed on her avoidant attachment. Instead of improving her communication skills or addressing her fears, she used these labels as an excuse and explanation. But what she didn't realize is that psychology isn't about fitting people into neat little boxes. It's about understanding how human behaviors and helping people to grow. She ignored that sometimes people may feel uncomfortable being in a social situation due to the environment and other factors unrelated to personality. Anyway, these traits will change naturally as one enters their adulthood. She was too quick to label herself instead of thinking that there's something she could change. So why do we do this? Why are we so quick of ourselves based on online words? I think it's because labels give us a sense of clarity. They make the messy, complex word seem simpler. If we know what's wrong with us, it's like we're towards the fixing it. But the truth is, labels don't fix anything. It only gets things worse by limiting how we see ourselves and what we're capable of. Another reason is that internet makes it easy. Anyone can share their opinions, and algorithms feed us content that confirms what we already believe. If you ever search something like, "Why do I feel anxious?" you may probably be bombarded with articles, quizzes, and videos that seem to offer answers. But the sources sometimes are oversimplified and out of context. They are not a substitute for professional help. Here's the catch. Labels are tools, not truths. If we use them without critical thinking, they can be cages that limit how we see ourselves and what we believe we are capable of. So what can we do to break free from this cycle of self-labeling? Well, we should know that psychology is a complex field, and many of us don't have the quality to diagnose ourselves and others. If you're struggling with something, turn to help for a licensed professional instead of relying on the internet. Instead of saying, "I'm a people pleaser," try to find identity, the specific behaviors that you like to change, like saying yes when you really mean no. This shifts the focus from who you are to what you do, which is much more empowering. All I want you to know is that labels are more than you. You are more than any labels. You can't let a single word define you. You are a unique individual. and with strengths and weakness and ability to grow. So never let a word define you. If you're interested in psychology, that's great, but make sure you're learning from reliable sources, like books written by experts or courses offered by reputable institutions. So let's challenge ourselves to look beyond labels. Let's stop defining ourselves by what we see online. Let's embracing ourselves with complexity and understanding others with curiosity and compassion instead of judgment and categorization. Because at the end of the day, we're not labels, we're human beings, complex, dynamic, and ability to grow. And that's no label can never capture. Thank you.